we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion.
Combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, this is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Is having options.
Yeah, that's
for
fair.
clips and promoting businesses and whatnot. Are we rolling?
We're rolling,
Yeah.
baby.
All right, 288. We're here. Miranda's in the building. What a fun story of how we met.
Yeah.
You hit us up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to come down and see what you guys are all about, see what's going on.
Just slid in the DMs.
And you were like, at that point, you're like, I'm not doing your show, though. You're like, I just want to come check it out.
That's fair.
And then we kind of,
Me?
circled back.
You did deny us.
You're like, I'm not doing it.
You're like, I just want to come in and maybe watch one.
Yeah, I did say that.
And then we're like, okay, how about you come on in? And then we ended up just sitting and talking for like an hour.
It was great.
And then you were like, why don't we, we could have just recorded that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
And then you said you had this mastermind thing coming up, which we'll get into here in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, perfect. Let's get you on this date to promote that.
Yeah.
So here you are.
And I didn't back out.
Look good. Yeah, that's good.
You're welcome.
Yes. So that's fun. And you sent us great guests already. More to come. Steph was fantastic last week.
I love her.
And so we said in the opening last week, we were like, the viewers don't know Miranda yet. And now they're about to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, yeah.
And you're not from Denver.
I am.
Okay, you are.
Pay attention.
Yes.
Well,
I should have known this from next time.
That's why I quit drinking.
Born and raised. Never lived anywhere else.
Okay.
Nice.
So what's your favorite part of Denver? Because there's different areas
Are we talk Denver or Colorado?
of the metropolitan.
Front range.
Denver
go
metropolitan.
front
I'm
range.
not in it.
When you're not
I'm not. Because I'm from here,
Yeah.
obviously. So I went to college in the city. I went to Metro State. So I was in the city all the time. I'm not a huge city person. I'm very picky when it comes to being in the city. So if I'm in Denver, it's because I'm being paid to, or it's during I don't know, a weekday, midday or something random. I am not a fan of the traffic.
Mhm.
Again, because I'm from here, it's changed so much, and I don't love all the changes. So I'm like, I'd rather not. But it's fun there. But again, I go to Denver for meetings constantly because everyone's like, let's just meet in Denver. And I'm
Of course.
like, okay.
Is it a South Broadway meetup? Or where's the normal
I-
meetup when you get called to
It's
town?
all over.
Okay.
Honestly, it's all over. I mean, there's Cherry Creek. There's downtown, Rhino. I like Rhino area. Cherry Creek, I don't mind. Another thing too is I hate parking downtown.
That's
Yeah.
the worst.
I sound like
Yeah.
an old complaining
No,
person.
I don't like it either.
and I gotta pay to park where I don't even want to park,
Right.
and then I have to come
why
back
Uber.
in 2 hours. Yeah, and I'm and then it's not safe in a lot of areas now that it used to be growing up, and
Mhm.
so don't love it. I'm not
So
a
Denver's
huge
out.
fan.
You're not a big fan of that. So what are we going? Aurora? Are we going Commerce City?
No. I grew up in Lakewood,
Okay.
so I live in Brighton though. So
I like Brighton.
I mean, I like living in Brighton because people are like, oh, it's so far away. It's really not. But it's quiet. It's pretty. It feels secluded without really being that far.
Mhm.
But I love Lakewood. I mean, it's where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's where my family is, where they have their businesses. I'm still there 4 days a week minimum.
Did you ever go to that Lakeside Park or whatever it is? Right off.
Oh, that's
Is that not really Lakewood?
it's
though,
not
is it?
Lakewood, but yes.
Oh, it's
yes.
that little convenient park.
No, it's the one that's
No,
off
the
70
amusement
and
park.
yeah.
it's
Yes. Yeah, I grew
What are
up
they called? Lakeside?
Lakeside. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not a thing anymore. though.
It's still there.
Is it really?
Yeah.
They run the rides?
Uh-huh.
I got to go.
Hmm.
I haven't been in many moons. My
Okay.
grandmother lives really close to there. So growing up as a kid, we used to always walk there with all the grandkids and stuff. And it was crappy back then. It still is, but it was fun as a kid because you didn't know.
Hey,
It's rinky-dink.
when things are consistent, it earns my respect.
Consistently shitty.
Yep.
It's
You got to respect it.
random thing. I went to high school. I went to high school with the owner's granddaughter, and I'm like, what? You guys have money? I'm like, you just let it look like this?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Pretty
But
pretty
it's
dilapidated.
yeah. Now
It's like
especially.
weeds growing out of the roller
It's like,
coaster.
it's like, do you even jump on that roller coaster? It's like a wooden roller coaster.
Fun
I'm not
fact.
getting on there.
I don't know if that's a really fun fact, but it was the first roller coaster I've ever been on. I'm not a heights person. I'm terrified of roller coasters, and I was like, "Game, let's go on that one." I don't
The
know.
one that's going to take your life.
I was like, "This is so stupid." The whole time, the seatbelt was just a regular it's not safe.
There had to be some lawsuits, huh?
I was flying off the seat. I was like, "This is not safe."
Oh,
This was
gosh.
17 years ago.
Oh,
So,
damn.
who knows now?
I didn't know it was still running.
Hmm.
Yeah, it still does. I feel like it's not as often as it used to.
Maybe just a couple months out of the year
It's definitely in the summer.
to keep the cost down.
Probably. I don't. who knows? I haven't been forever, but yeah. So
Interesting.
like I said, my grandma lives by there. She's lived there my whole life. So I went to elementary school not far from there. So Wheat Ridge area.
Oh, yeah.
Grew up there too.
So you know all the areas. Do you feel like living in Brighton brightens your day? I'm not really sure what
That's
that
a
means,
great
but
dad joke.
just came up with that one on the spot.
Yeah. I live in like a suburb surrounded by farms. So it's like again, like
Oh, so it smells like cow shit.
sometimes, not always though.
I like that though. It
It's
makes you
rare.
feel alive.
Makes me feel
You
alive.
know?
But again, like I like being away from the city, but not
Me
too
too.
far.
Yeah.
I still want to feel like it's like 30 minutes.
As long as I'm an hour
max.
from an airport.
And I'm
So I got to travel.
Within, yeah.
in Brighton,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
close
Yeah,
to DIA too, so
Mhm.
but not too close. So I like it. It's nice. It's like I think we're like the youngest people in our neighborhood.
That's fun.
So
It
I
is.
like it because it's chill. But yeah, like I said, Lakewood still I have a soft spot for it. I love it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't live there because too close to Denver. Denver's
food.
creeping too
I
close
see.
to Lakewood now, but
Denver's just getting too big.
Yeah.
You know, they built this city not anticipating millions of people to move into it.
Well, and
it's
we
clear.
still have one of the better infrastructures out of all the cities.
which is crazy.
25 is good. I feel like some of those side roads like 6th and some of those other ones you can tell like weren't prepared for the
Mhm.
amount of traffic that is on it now.
Yeah, it's crazy because like the boom happened really in like what 2010.
I moved here in
11-ish?
07 and then it just
Yeah, I would say like it really went crazy probably in probably 2010. That's when weed became legal and stuff.
that was a big
Everyone
that was big.
came
That
here.
was
I was
awesome.
I was in high school, so but I was like, man, I remember when I was like learning how to drive and everything. Like I-25 has always been a shit show,
It has.
but like,
Oh, yeah.
but there was like no traffic anywhere else, and
Yeah.
now it's constant. And I'm
It's
like,
pretty rough, I think. I take 470. I'll pay the tolls.
I will do it sometimes if I'm coming out this way. I hate coming to Aurora, so this is special.
This
just
is
so you
this
know.
is twice. This is twice that you've
From
rolled.
And
Brighton.
I have a handful of friends that live in Aurora too. I'm like, can we not? I just hate driving here because the traffic. It's like one way in, one way out. Like
225, baby.
It's-
Yeah.
It's a little it could be a little rough for sure.
And though I like driving, I hate sitting in traffic.
Oh,
So
I know it makes my
I'm
blood
cool
boil.
if I'm moving.
Yeah, yeah.
But so yeah,
Now, do you drive a manual? I know I'm asking you a lot of questions
I
here.
don't. Okay, this is the worst. This is probably the biggest shame of mine.
You don't know how to drive a manual?
Shameful thing. I blame my father.
And you're wearing a Corvette?
I am wearing a Corvette. The Corvettes I've driven were on Max.
Oh boy, this is going off the rails.
But I grew up. I'm a big car girl. Grew up in a
Okay.
very car centered family, and I still don't know how to drive a manual. I'm going to fix that. I also drag race, and I still don't know how to drive a manual.
Oh yeah.
My dad's like, and he'll like make fun of me, but she doesn't even know how to drive a manual.
Well, he
I'm
didn't
like,
teach you.
You're the dad. What are you doing? He tried to teach me like twice for like a day, and he was like, can't.
It's pretty easy.
It's not it.
It's
You
pretty
ever
easy.
driven a dirt bike or anything like that? Motorcycle?
I have like a mini bike, not a dirt bike, but like a mini chopper.
Oh, those are fun. Little
But
pocket rocket?
it's not like a.
A mini
literally a
chopper. It's like a
chopper.
mini Harley.
It's literally a chopper like long. It's I
Okay.
probably still fit on it. I got it when I was a kid, but
Oh, okay.
but that even still wasn't
No clutch.
complicated, not
Mm,
really.
okay.
But yeah. So I tried like twice in my life, and my parents love them dearly. My mom is like too lax when she teaches, and she's just like, yeah, do that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck am I doing? And then she's like, just keep going. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then my dad is the complete opposite. What the hell are you doing? Stop doing that. Put your fucking eyes up. Like, I'm like, oh my God, you're stressing me out.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Screaming and like giving too many directions, and my mom's just too chill. And so I'm like, okay, this is going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I still haven't learned, but that is a goal of mine.
I think this is
You
obtainable.
can do this.
Here's the thing.
Just get a rental.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one way to do it.
Do rentals.
Or an
even,
old car, just an old
do
beater.
they even have like if I was to go to like
They don't not going to rent
they even
manuals
have
because it's a
manuals?
liability.
Yeah.
People are going to rip the transmission out. But what I would do is go out east, like to Watkins, find a country
Just go
road
to
out in
Brighton.
Bennett, or out to the farms there in Brighton, backcountry road, and just go.
We were so my parents own a motorcycle shop, and they switched locations now, or since this first time I tried to learn it's in Lakewood, but like the street that they were on was like it's just other businesses, and then there's like residential on one side, and like there's just not a whole lot going on that street, and it's usually pretty empty. So we used to like practice up and down like that street and like around the block because it wasn't crazy. And then they moved locations, and now it's kind of by a busy area, so they just have like one long strip that like we can practice. We practice a little bit, but yeah, my dad was like, so where I learned how to like just drive mostly was in cemeteries.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
I've never heard that one before.
This is turning into a
My-
country song.
My parents would always be like, "We'll drive in the cemetery because who are you gonna kill?" It's fine, no one's around.
So your parents have a sense of humor then.
And so my mom is from New Mexico, and we used to practice out there too because we go to New Mexico all the time. And she's from a really small town, and there's literally like nothing besides like dirt roads and a couple cemeteries.
It's some chilly fields.
So we would just like drive around there too and practice some cemeteries. And so like here in Colorado do the same thing. And so yeah, that's where I learned how to drive
In a cemetery.
in the cemetery.
That's
And
interesting.
then I learned how to race in a abandoned Target parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that.
Nice.
But yeah, I
So
still
did you wait? So you learned how to race in an abandoned Target parking
when
lot.
I was 10 years old.
So were you like
An impromptu
were
racetrack.
cones like set up? Okay.
Well, kind of. I mean, it was a dragster, so you're not turning like
Oh, okay.
straight,
Drag
but like
racing.
still a little bit learning how to like not like maneuver.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not abandoned anymore. There's apartments there, of course. It's like off Colfax, but it was like abandoned forever. So my dad was like, "No one's ever here." Like, I'm 10, so he like, "We'll just go. Like, your car's small enough. We'll just go out there with like when no one's
Some
around
cones.
and just rip it."
Nice.
But yeah, I still don't know how to learn how to drive manual, so
I think you can do it.
it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
I
also
think it's
like a
doable.
very I don't know how to describe it. Like I have to know like every step first, and you have to like explain it to me very thoroughly, and then one by one, because then I'll get frustrated really fast, and then try to like do the next thing before I'm done with the first thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think that's like gets me tripped up a
You
little
just got to
bit.
be in the moment with it. You know, when I teach people how to drive manual, I take them to the classroom first.
That's fair.
And we learn what the clutch does, what it is, the
See,
importance
that's my
of it,
style. That's my style.
right? Because you got to know what it is before you know how to use it. And so we break it down. What does the
Mhm.
clutch do? What is its purpose? It's to engage and disengage the engine and the transmission.
Yeah.
So once we know that, then we can put it to work,
That's fair.
right?
That's a good way to look at it.
Get the laser pointer out, start going to the chalkboard, and then we take this thing out to the streets.
Yeah.
You know, start ripping gears.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I grew up in a car family. Classic cars mostly.
Okay.
Which a lot of those are manual. So I'm like, Dad.
So you grew up with all these like classics just sitting around.
67
My dad's like,
Noblets.
I'm not going to teach you like how to drive on these. Like you're out of your damn mind.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, so if you want to go way back in the family history, my grandfather, he passed when I was really young, but he was in the car industry forever. He owned car lots. So my dad grew up on car lots, and then he went on to work at dealerships because my grandpa passed when I was young. So after he passed, the car lots were sold, all those things.
Mhm.
So he loved cars, stayed in the industry. He worked for a few different dealerships. He was like a finance director, salesman, all the things. And then he opened his own business. But so he grew up around that stuff. He grew up racing as well. And my mom, she's into cars, of course, because like my dad and stuff. But she always loved classic cars too. Like it would, like when the time she was growing up, that's when there was classic cars as a norm. So like she loves and has appreciation as well. So then her and my dad, they share that. My dad's just like addicted though.
Good man.
So yeah, I grew up around cars all the time, and it's always been like a little side gig. My dad buys and sells cars just for funsies, and then now my husband and I and my dad buy and sell classic cars as like a
Nice.
side passion as well.
I love that.
Kind of flip them, make some profit.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't even have to flip them. But yeah,
Buy and
so
resell.
yeah. So there's always new rotations coming in and out.
I
But
like
yeah,
that.
So
I-
practice on one of those.
my dad would murder me if I ruined one of those. Because he like
Is he
even
gonna,
if
is he
even
gonna
if
watch this?
probably maybe.
You gotta teach this girl how to drive manual.
His friends make fun of him because they're like, "This is your daughter.
Yeah.
This is your," and she doesn't. And he's like, "I know she doesn't want to learn." I'm like, "Don't you do that? Don't you do that?
Don't you speak for me.
Don't blame me." And he's like, "She's a bad driver." But
Okay.
so I grew up around classic cars.
Mhm.
Love it.
Started drag racing when I was 10, and yeah, I'm obsessed.
Did you run Bandamere
Yes,
before it went bye-bye?
that was my childhood home. Like I grew up at Miranda.
I love that place.
My favorite place. Super heartbroken still. Even if they do rebuild, it'll never be the same.
It's never gonna be
Yeah.
the same.
It's kind of pointless, honestly. But whatever. We need a drag strip.
know.
So
It's
if they
it's
do
gonna go
it-
out there by Keensburg.
Yeah.
I was talking to the Bandamere family, and that's kind of their plan. But they're way behind schedule.
Of course they are. My dad was talking to Vandermeer too, and saying the same thing. He was like, "We'll see." Funny story. My dad, like I said, he grew up racing as well.
Mhm.
He was like, when I was a teenager racing, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna sell Vandermeer," and we're in close. He was like, so no one ever really took him seriously. He was like, so when they were this time, he was like, when they're gonna sell, they've been threatening to sell forever. Let's see if they actually do it. So he was like, if they're gonna sell, I figured they're just gonna be done. What's the point of
Mhm.
selling
To move.
I think it's stupid. It'll never be the same.
It was the parking lot situation.
That's ultimately what it came
Wasn't
down
that-
to. And they didn't have running water. No
But
running
they
water.
haven't had running water forever.
I know.
Who cares?
That's what made it fun.
Who gives?
You know?
One time, Kevin, and this happened long enough ago that one time we got access into
we had the media passes, yeah.
center in there.
Oh yeah.
That was fun.
And so that was like one of our very first media events
That was cool.
where we got up in there. We were sitting with the team,
That's so fun.
and it was kind of fun because like all the coverage team, they were all eating ice cream, and
I forgot about that.
And I like had like a comment about the ice cream, like which ice cream is the best.
I got
or something.
excited, yeah.
It was a good time, and because here's the thing: people who are behind the scenes doing all the media,
Yeah.
they're just like everybody else. They're excited about the sport,
Oh, of course.
having fun with
We
it.
were there to cover the sport, you know?
Yeah.
NHRA was in town, which I'm a big NHRA guy.
Me too.
You know, obviously partnered with NASCAR. Tony Stewart's over there now. Do you still keep up with it?
Not as much, but I mean here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my dad does.
It's a great sport.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm hoping we get it back to Denver here
I
by
do too,
27.
because not having a drive. I mean, we have Pueblo, but it was closed last year too.
Yeah, that's just kind of a
And-
shitty facility.
And who wants to go to Pueblo?
Pueblo
Sorry,
is like long
sorry,
drive.
Pueblo.
Long drive.
That's not my favorite place.
It's no one's favorite.
Yeah, Pueblo's a weird place.
It's a crap. It's crap.
It's full of crystal
Sorry.
meth.
I have family that's in Pueblo. I'm sorry, they know it. And then the only other track is way in the hell out. I always forget the name of it. It's still working.
We were talking drag racing?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
it's out
also
on
an airport.
Okay.
It's like a private airport. It's like out on the border of
Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah, it's out in
What is it called?
Passport
It has a
Fort.
funky name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's
Yeah.
not Sterling.
I
but
love that track. It's just so far.
I've never been out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, it's so fun.
I've never
Right.
been.
It's like obviously it's not like Bannerman was like
Oh, yeah.
it
Vandermeer was epic.
yeah, but also was like Bannerman was very like it's an NHRA track, so it's
Professional.
This track used to be one. They're not anymore. But it's more of like it's in the middle of nothing.
It's
in the
grassroots.
It's in the country. It's not like crappy.
Yeah.
It's well kept because it has to be. It's still a working airport. But it's like because it's not NHRA, there's rules, but not as many.
Yeah.
And people just go out and have a fucking blast.
If you end up
and
in the
get
sand trap, you're on your
wild.
own.
And like it's just a great time. People are camping, like
That sounds
partying.
fun.
That's what I love about racing.
It's so fun, and it's one of my favorite tracks I've ever been to. And it's not fancy, like I said.
Yeah.
But it's just such a good time, and people are just having a blast and like hanging out in the hangars and like
Yeah.
whatever. It's a good time, but it's so far, and so like not having Bandamere,
Like 3 hours.
yeah, or more,
Probably
maybe.
from Brighton, probably about 3
Yeah.
hours.
Or more or whatever. But like not having Bandamere, then I mean, street racing is always going to be a thing, but it's way worse when we don't have a track.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're always going to have street racing. A lot
Always.
of those guys are just going to rip up to I-25 and down Wadsworth and wherever they go. And then we still have Colorado National Speedway if you're into oval racing. Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah, my dad.
It's great.
My dad had a bunch of buddies that would race there growing up. I like in high school had a boyfriend whose family was like into racing there, so we used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Not the same though.
Well, it's
very different.
Different style racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fun. I'll go.
yeah.
It's a blast, but I want to race,
Yeah. You want to put the power down.
and I'm not racing there. I'm not. I'm a go straight type of lady.
No turning left.
No left turns.
That's fair.
Not for me. But
Well, I mean, one of these times, you have to know what it feels like to rip through gears on a standard manual transmission.
I love it. Drive it every day.
That's a great
I've been
feeling.
in the passenger seat for that on a NASCAR track, but and like rode the track and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a blast.
So-
I don't want to do that.
So what is your like dream car? Like your Eleanor?
Do you have like 2 years to talk about? Because I have a list. But it depends what category we're talking about. I mean,
Okay.
I am a Corvette girl. I grew up.
Do you like the newer Corvettes or you like more in the classic? Because the newer ones
Depends
almost
on what year. So the brand new ones, love.
They
think
almost look
they're
like McLarens.
So that I love that, and I hate that because I like McLarens too.
I do too.
So I like that factor, but I also like then it's like, oh, then it's not Corvette, but I think they're sick. Like
Mhm.
They're pretty badass.
I love mid-engine. I think they're so cool. They're sleek, they're beautiful. They like you can still tell it's a Corvette. Like I mean, they still have the classic features, but it's just a cool looking car. I think I'm like you can't be mad at that.
So you're on
car.
Team Chevy, huh?
Oh yeah. Are you
Oh,
are you a
he's
Ford
pull-
guy?
He's pulling it out.
Sorry,
Oh no!
but
Those are my fighting words. Let's take it to the racetrack. I'll drag race you for it. I'll take my manual transmission.
appreciation. I'm a car girl, so I have an appreciation
Yeah.
for them. But my dad is very much a Chevy man.
That's fair.
No Fords allowed at the. It's funny though because he does have one Ford that he drives, and he's like, "Don't tell him."
What kind of Ford is
Okay.
it?
It's literally just like a daily. It's a freaking Explorer. But
Oh,
whatever.
For his daily.
Like one of.
Okay.
Yeah.
one
like,
of.
I told you the addiction's real. But we also have T-Bucket.
Mhm.
And it's a Ford T-Bucket, but it's acceptable because it has a Chevy engine.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
There's the gray area.
So that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
I do like old, Ford trucks. I don't like the new ones,
I mean,
but
the '67 Shelby GT500, one of the greatest masterpieces ever made.
yes. So yes, I agree, but not my favorite.
That's fair.
Not my favorite. I'll take Corvette over that.
Taking the Corvette over the
Mhm.
Shelby.
Split window Corvette.
All right. Around
And
that
it's
same
like-
time, like the Stingray, or are you going?
Yes, or
Right.
any of them.
Yeah.
I just love '60s Corvettes.
So Willie B brought to the studio that one time.
I mean, those are that's like the classic
That's
type
what
car.
I started. I mean,
That's
like
classic.
Willie B's a big Corvette guy. You know Willie
Yeah.
B
Yes,
from one of
yes.
we had him on a few years ago, and I was like, what car is Willie going to show up
Yeah.
in? And he brought his, I think it was a '66 Stingray.
Oh, that was cool. He's a
Dream.
solid guy. It was
No,
so
Willie B's
cool
great.
having him on because I listened to him on the radio.
my dad's
growing up
met
as
him
a
a
kid.
few times.
He's a nice guy.
We have
Mhm.
like some mutual friends. I've never met him, but yeah,
He's a big race guy.
Yeah.
Good. He does a lot for the automotive community around.
yeah.
So
I
that's
know
exciting though.
Yeah, and he donates cars too.
He donates cars
all
to
the
people that
time.
are less fortunate.
Yeah.
He'll like fix them up.
I'm
and
less
give them to
fortunate.
people.
Send me one. No, but yeah, huge into cars. I mean, Corvettes are always favorite as far as like supercars and stuff. Ferrari
Oh, here, okay.
is my girl.
Okay.
Ferrari over Lambo every day.
Well,
Yeah, see, she gets it.
I like the Lambos.
Josh, I hope you're listening.
You can't say like I hate that. I mean, I appreciate cars, so they're cool cars.
Ferrari is 10x
But like the
over Lambo.
Hurricane is like a classic,
Huracan.
It's cool.
right?
I'll take
Huracan.
the Huracan.
Hurricane.
The 70s, 80s ones are way cooler.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that's a car that every young person, as soon as they get money,
They
like
buy
they're like, "Oh, get the Lambo."
lime green.
I'm like, every
Yep.
time or orange. I'm like,
Something ridiculous.
you're so
Yeah.
predictable.
That's what Josh
Like
would do.
they're badass
Yeah, you-
cars, yes, but I don't.
Ferrari's way better. Ferrari is it's the standard of
Ferrari, like
exotic car.
yeah, it's elegant.
I agree with that.
It's like it's unattainable. It's like it's that exclusivity. Like
It's great.
the family that Ferrari family, like all that
Enzo.
history is amazing. It's so intriguing to me. It's incredible.
I agree.
I love it.
It's good.
About
It's-
Ford versus Ferrari.
I was just gonna
Did
go
you
into
see
that.
movie.
Did.
That was a great movie.
It's
not-
a very good movie.
let's not forget that Ford defeated Ferrari in the 24-hour Le Mans. I
Yes.
don't believe Chevy did. So I'll just leave that nugget there for you.
It's fine. It's fine when you have to call a Chevy to tow your Ford.
Well, I mean, we know what Ford stands for. It's first on race day.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not hating, but I'm hating. But yeah, no,
That's-
Ferraris are my favorite. Like that's the car. Like
Yeah.
you'll know. Well, like if you see, you'll be like, oh, okay.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's for supercar wise. But I'll
Okay.
probably like I said, I grew up around Corvettes. My dad has always had a Corvette.
Okay.
Like not the same one, never that. Always rotating. But he's always had at one, like if he's like buying and selling whatever, there's usually a Corvette still on hand. Or like the longest period he went without one was probably like 6 months my whole life
Without
okay.
a Corvette,
without a Corvette.
Those were the darkest 6 months of his life.
And then he's always like,
withdraw.
man, he'll see one drive by and he's like, I need to get another one back. Like every time. But yeah, so love those. I mean, I'm just a car girl.
What does he have currently? What Corvette?
It is my husband just bought it to sell it. It is a 60
Sold already.
something. It's a late
60s
60s.
Corvettes are great.
Mhm.
What color are we dealing with here?
It's
Yellow?
red.
Red.
It needs some work. But it's cute.
That's fun.
It's very cute. He'll probably keep it for a little bit and then sell it as he does. I learned growing up to don't get attached. Everything has a price tag. So
It's true.
That's true.
There's
true.
2 cars in the family that do not get touched, and I'm like, you don't sell those. Like, you don't touch them. One of them is my mother's car.
Okay.
It's a Jag. It's an
I like
old,
Jags.
it's an old school Jag. I think
I like Jag.
I think Princess Diana had one the same as my mom's.
Interesting.
She's had it forever. And then so that's like a don't touch her fucking car. That's her baby. She's like, I don't give a shit what you sell. Don't touch my car.
Don't
Yeah.
touch.
Because she had one before I was born, I think. And he sold it without telling her.
Oh, oopsie.
He
I mean, look, if he had to do that, I agree with the move.
didn't have to.
He just did.
He just was like, that's the right price. And then was like, babe, so
I sold your car.
he like took her out to like a nice like lunch or something, and then she was like, "What'd you do?" He was like, "I
Sold your
the
wheels."
Jag." She was like, "You." So she was pissed, and then he got her the other one, and then she was like, "Don't you ever touch that again." So she's had that my whole life. So that one stays in the garage. I mean, she drives it, but that one doesn't get touched. It's hers. Actually, I think it's currently in my name, so my dad can't sell it. It's tactic. And then the other one is a family heirloom car. It was a car that my dad and my grandfather used to sell back and forth to each other when they needed money. It's a Riviera.
Oh, beautiful Riviera.
With like the clamshell headlights, and it's gorgeous. So they used to buy and sell it to each other all the time, and it was
So one of the two of them would always just be better off financially, and so they would like
they both loved the car,
yeah,
and they would be like, "Don't sell it. If you need to sell it or you don't want anymore, sell it to me."
yeah.
Or be like, "If you need money and you need to sell the Riv, sell it to me."
Like,
So
do you need to sell that car again? Because I wouldn't mind buying it back.
yeah,
for a couple
so they
years.
would do it,
That's
and one
That is fun.
yeah, and so when my grandfather passed, it was in his possession, and then there was like a whole family drama around it. But my dad had to like fight for it, be like, "No, that's my car." So when he passed, my dad took it over, and it's not leaving. I will not allow it. It's my car.
Yours.
I'm like, "Dad, I will buy it." Like, we're not. That's my
Keeping
baby.
the family tradition alive.
Yes, I took high school like senior pictures with it. My dad drove me up to the aisle for my wedding in it, and like it's like my favorite thing ever. So
Yeah, that's a no touch.
and it's pristine. It's gorgeous. So
What color?
it's so the original color, it's like a really deep like maroon, and then it's still that color, but my dad made it two-toned with black,
Okay.
and he made it a little bit. I was not a fan of these changes. I was like not a fan of the two-tone. He had some pinstripe, a little touch, and I'm like, stop it, because I'm very much a purist
Yeah.
for most
I
cars,
don't want it too fancy.
and I'm just like, don't make it modern, leave it alone. He
Yeah.
threw new rims on it that are like powder coated black, and like I mean, it looks
So can I
It sounds
ask a
pretty
serious question? And it's a car question.
cool for it.
So how do we feel about backup cameras?
I probably need one on my daily.
I'm
Oh,
gonna go thumbs down on the backup camera.
okay.
Modern
So wait,
cars.
none of us have
I don't
a
have
backup camera on our car.
No,
Yeah, none of us.
Bought a brand new car and it came with it.
Yeah.
Every time I rent a car and it has it, or like I'm driving someone else's, I don't even use it. Like it comes on or whatever.
I have
but I'm
trust
still,
issues.
I'm still using the mirrors.
Me too, because I'm like,
Yeah, that camera might be fake news.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it might
I'm
be
like,
CGI.
yeah.
One thing that is
What?
fun though, because I used to sell cars, and
Okay.
so I would be like in the parking lot with a customer, and I would be like backing it up, and I'd be like, "You want to see how close we could get to this car?"
Stop it! You're not one of those.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, "I don't know," and I'll be like, "Come
Wait,
on."
are we talking with backup camera?
With the backup
Okay,
camera.
my dad does this without it. But
And so I'd like back up and like you can see the bumpers, so you can almost
That's
kiss
fair.
bumpers. And they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "All right, let's hop out." And so I'd like get as close as I could, and then we would hop out and go look at the back, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it's so close."
I mean, they serve,
Fun.
It's fun.
they serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Whatever. But like, I would never put that on like a car didn't come.
Oh, you wouldn't
Mm.
add it. Yeah, no, that's even worse.
Stupid.
That's even worse. And a lot of these new cars have like it'll beep at you, if you're trying to change lanes, doo-doo, and like vibrates the
We
wheel.
had a rental car like that, and
annoying.
literally after 30 minutes, I was like, "I'm going back. I can't do this. I need a different car." Like,
Yeah.
or I'm like, "How do we turn?"
You gotta
Shut it off.
disable it.
I'm like, "How do we?" I was
Pull
like,
the fuse.
"How do we take this thing?" I was so
but
pissed.
then you have to disable it every single time,
time
that
you start the car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, or the like, my biggest pet peeve with new cars, besides electric ones, is the automatic like kill switch, like it turns off, turns back on.
Oh,
or
when you
whatever.
come to a stop.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's so annoying.
There's
That is.
no way that's good for it.
It's not only that, it's supposed to save fuel. It really doesn't, because the vehicle has to refire, which means you have to dump fuel.
Exactly.
Right, and
I
so-
like people are like, "No, it saves fuel." I'm like,
doesn't.
"How? You have to restart it, and that's
Yeah.
killing the starter."
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm with you.
Who am I? I'm not a
It's
car
to get
engineer.
people back into the shop. They
Yep.
design phones, they design cars, and everything.
Remember
so we
the
have
days
to
when
get
they used
service.
to build things to last?
I know. I miss those days.
I'm not
Things
even
a piece
that
of
old,
shit.
but I know.
I was
Yeah.
watching this like TikTok on vintage refrigerators, like
Oh,
from
yeah.
the 50s.
Oh, they
Like the
still
big green ones.
they
Yeah.
still are great.
Yeah, like they had like a foot thing on the bottom to open it up. They open from both sides. They have like these swivel
They were
like
nice.
shelves and
There's
stuff.
that company that like makes new ones like that. Smeg.
Smeg.
I haven't heard of that.
Mhm, they're
Is that like,
expensive.
is that like Maytag?
They like make them look like the vintage ones, but they're new.
But they're new. So
And
they're probably just lighter.
they do like toasters. The toasters are like several $100s.
Really?
Stupid, but they're very cute.
Do they have like a TV in them or something?
No, they just they look vintage, but they're new.
Because now they have smart fridges with TVs in it.
That is a terrible
Jamie
idea.
has one.
I think
She
they're
does.
cool, but like it's gonna fail.
What's the point of it though? Like you could watch Discussion Combustion on your fridge.
You can watch.
I mean, if you're like cooking and your cell phone isn't big enough to like watch it on,
Okay, most people's
you know.
kitchens are close to their living rooms where there's a TV.
Turn it up, Yeah, I don't know. I think
It's too much. It's too much
it's too
technology.
Yeah, it's too
It's
fancy.
much.
It's
Yeah.
just
And then
another
it's
thing
gonna
that's
break down, and then you have a stupid. You have to fix the wiring in a fridge. Like
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that, that's
for a smart TV. in
No,
the
it's
fridge.
silly. Yeah, so it's funny because the whole backup camera thing.
Yeah.
So, I got my girl. She has her single friend. We're going out on Halloween night to go clubbing and partying. And
You're way cooler than me.
and like my wife, she's attractive, her friend's attractive, like we're a good looking group. And so a bunch of guys are like all hitting on her friend and all this stuff. And then I end up getting one of these guys that like wants to tag along and like take us to some other places. Either way,
You let a stranger in your car.
I
Okay.
did.
Bad decision number one.
I was in control of the situation. I was definitely in control here. But the thing is I like whipped it, parallel parked it, and backed it in with no camera. And people are impressed by this nowadays.
That is true.
They're impressed by it.
My husband's party trick is like if I'm DD and he's lit and we're driving somewhere, I can parallel park, okay, but sometimes it takes longer than it should. I hate parallel parking. Not for me.
Okay.
Whatever. But I hate it. My husband's very good at it.
Mhm.
So like I'll be DD, he'll be shit faced, and he'll do it from the passenger seat, and I'll gas brake, and he'll just whoop whoop whoop.
Oh,
Wow.
And they're like, "Where do you?" He's drunk. I'm like, "He's got it better than me, though. I'll admit it." And he's like, "Guys, it's fine." Boop, boop. Like, and
You're on the
people are like,
passenger
"Holy
seat.
crap."
That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
I've never parallel
I've never
parked from the
parallel parked from the
passenger.
passenger
Like,
seat.
Mm-mm.
Can do it like
That is impressive.
Like he
Wow.
kills it.
I've shifted from the passenger seat though. I wanted to feel like what it was like to be a right-hand drive.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Like Europe.
That's
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. But I cannot do that. I'm not a I am. Again, if I have to go to the city, I have to parallel park. I'm already upset. So I'm like, the best situation for me is if I can pull into one of them spots.
Oh yeah.
Best day of my life. I hate and then I get all flustered and people are like looking at you.
People
and
are
I'm like,
beeping at
stop.
you.
And I drive a Jeep. I'm like, this is the worst thing to park. Like, I'm like, don't look at me, please.
I've had it. I was in a peculiar predicament on trying to parallel park on Perry one day,
Okay.
and it didn't go well. And the lads behind me were
Hit
getting.
something, huh?
I didn't hit anything,
Oh.
but I was like taking too long, and the people behind me started getting impatient and shit, and like pull up next to me, like you suck. And I was like, thanks, man.
Yeah, I've
Appreciate
had times when people are just looking at me like laughing. I'm like, I'm just gonna leave. Like that's the girl. I'm like, I'm just gonna bye. Don't look at me. It's fine.
But yeah,
I swear I'm a car girl. I'm just not gonna parallel park.
that's fair.
That's all
We
right.
have our strengths and weaknesses.
It's okay.
I'll admit it. I don't work on my own cars. I'll help, but
You gotta change your own oil though, right? If you had to.
yeah, I call my dad, or I'm like, I call my mechanic. Hey, you got time?
Yeah, let's do it. That's fair.
But
Or you
I
can
mean-
change a tire though.
I mean, it'd be cool to learn. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm just also like,
Let someone else
it's
do
my
it.
job.
That's fair.
But that's I'm okay with that.
I've never changed the oil on a vehicle.
Really?
I've never changed my own oil.
Wow.
I've seen it done, but I've never done it myself.
I used to do it
You
myself.
got to like get underneath there.
It's way easier on older cars. I know that.
Yeah, you just crawl under there. It is, and it used to save money doing it yourself. Now it's almost not worth it. By
Yeah,
the time
like
you
the
buy the
time.
filter, you buy the oil, then you have to get rid of the oil.
I'm
You
like,
might as well just pay Grease Monkey.
I
Yeah,
literally,
for sure.
I literally just call my there are like two mechanics that I go to. One of them is next door to one of my parents' businesses, and he's a very long time family friend, and so like I get him for free. So
That works. You got the hook.
I'm like, hey Gator, we
Slinging
got time
some-
today, and then I always am like, I will pay you. He's like, no, you won't. You're not paying me. Just leave.
What'd you say his name was?
Gator.
Gator.
Oh yeah, that's
Well,
a car guy right there. Call up Gator.
Gator.
Gator will
But
fix it.
Just
he's not old either.
pay him in food. Like,
Oh,
whatever
so
his
he
favorite
literally
snack
tells
is.
me, he's like,
Yeah.
"You got lunch?" I'm like, "Down."
100%.
See, that's fair.
I'm like, "Down."
What does Gator eat for lunch? Now, I'm guessing it's normally
Stop.
possum,
I'm going.
but
Gator will eat anything. I don't care.
He's a sub guy. I bet he wants an Italian sub.
He'll eat anything. He don't give a shit.
Gator.
Yeah.
We got to get him.
His
on here.
favorite is my mom's cooking, so I'm like, "Mom."
hey, I mean,
Who doesn't love mom's
nothing's
cooking?
like homemade.
That's
Nothing's
the
like
best.
homemade.
So I mean, if I can get free oil changes, I'm gonna do it. And then I'm like, okay, I'll come back and you can do something else that I can pay you for. And he's like, okay, fair.
That's nice.
So yeah,
That works.
I mean, the car community is really cool, and everybody loves cars. Like, even if you're like not a car person, you
respect
can
them.
still be like, ooh, like when you got
when
a
it comes to
classic,
classic, yes,
Yeah, like,
classics, like
they still look good.
they're still gonna be like
They bring people together.
They're
They're-
always gonna look good.
always breaking necks. I don't care who it is.
Oh yeah.
Even like the younger scene, like I have a younger sister. She's very into. She appreciates old cars. She's very into like the street scene. She loves like new age cars. That's more her jam. But again, she still appreciates old stuff. And there's like a
Mhm.
lot of kids that are like, "Oh, that stuff's stupid. You're an old head." Blah blah. Blah. I'm like, you realize that you wouldn't have that without this cake. Just saying. Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. But no, I'm very like, I don't have children. But when I do, they will be into cars. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But I think like it's a dying like appreciation for
Okay.
a lot of young
Well,
kids.
people aren't
From
really
what I've seen.
driving as much anymore.
That too, and it's just like with the younger generations, they like the new, the flashy, the stupid Lambos, like all that stuff, which is fine. But like they don't. They don't see anything before that, and they're like, whatever, so they don't appreciate it.
They just want the shiny object.
They just want the shiny object. And I mean, classic cars are, to me, obviously, it's a family thing. It's
Mhm.
like, it's part of who I am, but it's an art form. Like, they don't make them like they used to, but like,
It's
they
true.
really
It
don't.
is true.
Like, there's no innovation anymore as far as like design, like aesthetics. I don't think. Look at the damn Cybertruck.
Yeah, I was
Oh
about
my
to say,
God.
Get
like,
out
you
of
don't
my
like
face.
the Cybertruck?
First
I
of
was
all,
about to
No, that
it's a
thing's terrible.
It's so
anyone can
hideous.
hate me for this. I don't care. I hate electric vehicles. They're terrible for the environment.
Yes.
Don't even talk to
This
me.
is a public service announcement.
I'm like, you think
Fuck electric
that
vehicles.
is like about emissions, whatever. Yes, I agree. But where do you think those batteries are coming from, and where do you think they're going?
Oh yeah, where are they going? That's the thing.
And you know how
It's
many
lithium.
batteries they take? You know how expensive those batteries are?
And they're a fire
It's-
hazard.
They're a fire hazard. The cars,
It's a piece of shit.
they're pieces of shit. I don't care.
You know what we think about? Well, what you two think about electric vehicles?
The bullshit button has officially debuted.
But I
We've
hate
been-
electric vehicles. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit when anybody says they're stupid.
That's bullshit.
and they drive.
They're terrible.
They're fast. They're fast. Of course
On
they are. They
acceleration?
don't weigh
You can't go
anything.
that far in them.
You can't go far. They don't weigh anything. Like,
They accelerate
take
fast.
that on a road trip. Tell me how that goes for you. Like,
Right.
I mean, I guess people don't really road trip like you used to. I also grew up
Road trips
tripping.
are awesome.
So like, I at first when Teslas came out, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And then I drove one, and I was like, get me out of this crap. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
can't. I
terrible.
hate them.
And now they're creeping
so,
into racing. NASCAR has a prototype that's electric, but they're not
Yeah.
going to race it, they say.
So last time I was in,
Interesting.
I've been to Nashville a few times, Nashville Super Speedway for events that I've
National Super Speedway,
Yeah.
yeah. Concrete
So,
mile, a
yeah,
third, yeah.
so I was event planner for a few motorsport events there.
Love
But
it.
so I like got to go to the track, or ride on the track, all the things and stuff, and then like of course I'm nosy, I ask all the questions. I'm like, okay, like what car has like the best track time, blah blah blah. Fucking Tesla.
Really?
I'm sorry, get
It-
out of my face. That does not count.
Yeah, it's all acceleration.
Well, it's
I mean,
like a different class of car too. Like,
It's not even, you can't compare those at all.
no.
The
No.
weight for one. And I mean, like, it's just not the same. And then they're like, yeah, well, race this against, like, race that against a Tesla. I'm like, it's not a car.
it's a different type of vehicle.
It's a golf cart.
You're right.
It's a fast golf cart.
Super fast.
Yeah, you can't compare the two. It's two different entities. But
Yeah.
they're starting to, like Formula E, Formula One that has an electric division. You're going to start seeing more and more of that, I think.
I get
Unfortunately.
it, but the purist in me is just, I hate it.
Well, and also like you're looking at geopolitically the manufacturing factories that can actually spit out the type of brains that these current cars need is so like stressed out, and like the amount of lithium that's available. So it's like there's
Just
still
the lithium harvesting is just
there's probably still more fossil
which is terrible
fuels
for
that,
the
like,
environment.
it's so dangerous.
It's counterproductive for one, and now there's an inventory problem because they made too many and they can't sell them fast enough. People aren't buying them quick enough, and they have too much aged inventory.
Especially Tesla.
Especially, well, Teslas are getting burned.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one in
They're blowing themselves up anyway. It doesn't matter.
that's fair. Just set fire to fire.
Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, that's happening all over. These Tesla places are getting attacked and burned into the ground.
It's crazy.
That's pretty wild. But
It's
yeah,
wild.
the electric vehicle. I could talk cars for 3 hours.
Me too. I know.
It's
I'm
not
like,
Another
fair.
car. I wasn't expecting car talk.
I know.
I
I'm
know.
like, hi
We didn't
guys.
get into
We're here
guns
to talk cars. We don't need to.
It's like my favorite type of podcast. But let's get into the nuts and bolts about what you do.
Yes, I'm an event planner. I do all types of events. I've been in the industry. This is going on my 12th year. I went to college for event management, so I have a bachelor's as well. I started in the industry right before college.
Well, congratulations for using your degree.
I know it's rare, huh?
It is.
People are like, "Do you think college is a waste?" I'm like, "No, I used mine. Sorry, you know."
I'm one of the rare few, basically.
And I'm like, I knew what I wanted and I did it, so I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so I've always listen. I'm Latina. I'm also Native American. We have a big family, all over. Any event is a big thing growing up. So they're fun. Yes. My parents, like I said, they own businesses. They used to throw these huge, crazy parties for their motorcycle shop all the time. We would always be going to somebody's party. Still are. Excuse me. But it was interesting to me, and I'm also like, I think I was born this way. I was born a control freak. My mom would be like, "She's bossy." I am. If I can control it, I will. So like when it comes to like parties, I used to always be like, "Why don't we do it this way? Why are we doing this? That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. Shut up, Miranda. Like, stop." But I just like it was just fun for me. And then as I got older. In high school, I'd throw my own parties, never at my own house though, because I was smarter than that. And I was always being charged. My friends would be like, "Let's throw a party." I'm like, "Cool. Whose house are we volunteering?"
Yeah. I need to know the floor plan. I need to know where we're.
Okay, let me just tell you,
Was
our
it that
our
quick
most
like that?
epic party was before Project X was the Project X movie or whatever.
I don't know if I saw that.
You haven't seen it.
Project X.
Is that what's
movie?
called Project X? It was like about a big, huge house party that like went
So-
around like high school. Whatever. I think it's high school.
Was it a documentary?
No. It's just a funny. I mean, it
Okay.
could be.
Yeah.
But it's just like these kids have a giant party. This like the rich parents'
Is it, like,
house,
Superbad?
blow it up. Like
Oh, it's one of those.
it's like very super bad ish.
Love that movie.
But like it's a crazy whatever. It came out in like I don't know because my party was in like 2012, so I think it was like right around that time. But we like to joke like we're the originators of that. But my friend, her dad had this baller ass house, and him and his wife were out of town, and she was like, "Can I have some people over?" And her dad was like, "No parties." And her stepmom was like, "You could have some people, just like whatever, right?"
Mhm.
And it was
Just
like
be cool, be chill.
it was their anniversary
Yeah.
weekend, like they're out of town. We're like, "Okay, cool." She's like, "You know everyone. Like you have a lot of friends. Like just invite everybody." I was like,
What, the stepmom?
No, my friend.
Oh.
So my friend was like, I was like, "Who are we inviting? Like, who should we invite?" She's like, "Everyone." I was like, "What do you mean everyone?" And so I was
Everyone.
Okay.
like
Let's
most
go.
of high school, I was the varsity baseball manager, and so like I was friends with all the athletes and stuff like that. And so I'm like, "Yeah, everybody." She's like, "Dude, just send out." This is when I didn't get a Facebook till like my sophomore year of high school, and this was my junior year. So like Facebook was still very popular.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Just go on Facebook and do like a massive invite." So, okay. And we're like, we're probably gonna end up having like 50 people. That was not the case.
Would you have like 300?
Not that many, but probably at least like 2. And
Who was on drink duty?
we didn't even know half of them.
Yeah.
Like they were not from our school
Yeah.
at all. We're like, "Who the fuck?"
People just showing up.
People were just showing up.
Was it a BYOB?
No.
Oh boy.
Well, you know, some like all the
Well, yeah,
all,
people
all the
bring their
true
own.
players, like they brought their own.
But so me being the event planner that I
didn't
am,
know
I was
this.
like, we have to buy alcohol. We have to this. I'm like,
That's a lot
we'll
of
just
booze.
pitch money. Like it's fine. Like we'll just charge people to get into our party.
Okay.
And it was part of the invite. They knew they had to pay to get in.
Oh, this is
And
smart.
Mm.
so like girls were free. Guys
Of
had to
course.
pay.
Even smarter.
Of course.
Guys had to pay, whatever. And so
Really?
that's fine.
Men learn this at a very young age.
Y'all just gotta pay. I'm
we do.
sorry.
We
It's
learn
just
that.
the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's back to life.
Girls, if you want to pay, sure, go ahead. But I'm not gonna
I mean,
make
till
you.
this day, like I'm still paying.
Of course you are.
You know what I'm saying?
That's just the facts of life.
So
So there's a cover charge.
there's cover charge. Like we went and we got a couple kegs. We went and got like a bunch of different stuff. Like we had people, buying for us, whatever, family members of mine, and
nice.
like older cousins, like things like that. But so then I'm like, okay, we have cover charge. We have certain colored solo cups, wristbands marking the hands
Okay.
at the
This
door.
is legit.
Official.
This is legit.
I had two
Do you have a
people. I had two
security?
people working door to like.
It's a party.
We went and bought a bunch of like food trays from like Costco, chips, like
This
all
is
the things.
legit.
It's a serious
Like,
party.
We had playlists. We had like different playlists for different areas. Like we decorated.
Oh wow.
With, like balloon, like just random shit. We like marked off certain. We thought we were smart by getting caution tape and marking off certain rooms. We're like, don't go in there because like people
And
listen.
then people are like, I'm going in there.
Of course they were. We
Yeah.
had this was the time of when Jersey Shore was very popular.
I didn't watch that.
So it was like little Jersey Shore like hints here and there. We had some like references, and we're like, here, these are the smash rooms, and these are
The smash rooms.
like we had like signs on them. Stuff like it was a thing, and so it turned into like this huge party. Went off without a
Good
hitch.
God.
We contacted all the neighbors first,
Mhm.
like, and they all had kids our age, and so we were like, hey, like tell your parents, like don't call, like we're having just like a birthday party
Yeah.
or whatever, or like hey,
It's
like
sanctioned.
don't you mind?
It's sanctioned.
So and this is like in a nice neighborhood. Cops never got called. We partied till 7 a.m.
Damn.
Like it was wild. Then like I was like, okay, people are sleeping. Like I didn't go to bed till like 8 because I was like, we gotta clean up. Like fuck. So
Yeah.
we're
Right,
cleaning
that.
up.
Now, were the parents coming back? Like,
You had
had some
this was
time.
a Saturday. They were
Yeah.
coming back Sunday night.
because
Damn.
I
that's
think
that's like
if
a
I can remember
stressful
right.
moment. It's like,
We're
okay,
like, we gotta hurry.
yeah, we threw the party. Now we gotta like
This
make
place
the
is
house
wrecked.
look
Oh, it's
legit.
wrecked.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful,
Stale
gorgeous
beer
house.
everywhere.
That's the least of our worries.
Yeah.
The hot tub like had a chunk broken off. There was
Oh,
puke
God.
all around it.
Oh no.
Some people, there was a like private like little mini like lake. It's like more like a pond, but behind the neighborhood. That house, like the house we were in, that area didn't have access to it, but the house on the other side did. So they have like little canoes and stuff they would take. Some group of people jumped the fence, went and stole some canoes, ended up in the front yard. Like there was some people that got mad they didn't get invited, like egged the house at some point. And then like there was beer cans in the neighbor's yard. It was just a shit show.
Yeah.
It was a shit, but went off without a hitch because
They
like
never
the cops didn't call. We thought we were so slick. We cleaned up. Everything was great. There was chunks of the floor missing. It's fine. We just like put the
Did
rock.
they have house cameras back then?
No, this had to have been before that.
No.
4 ring cameras.
Uh-uh.
Okay. Yeah. See,
Uh,
kids nowadays,
they would have had them though because they had
Yeah.
money.
They have them now, I bet.
But so the chunks of the floor, like it was like nice, like I don't know how to describe the floor. It's like rock type of
Oh yeah.
like flooring.
Nice.
So there was like little chunks missing.
And you just glued them back in.
Someone that woke up in my friend's dad's Corvette the next day. We didn't even know he was. Like, we thought he just like left.
Slept
Like,
in the Corvette.
he was sleeping in the Corvette. Like the keys were hanging on the freaking hooks. We're stupid. We didn't think about it. Like he could have
Yeah.
stole the car. Dumb. But anyway, so all that we cleaned up. You would not be able to tell until this was also like the last weekend of summer before junior year of high school. So we're going into the first week of junior year. We all were like, let's get ready together. We have a late start. Let's all hang out and like have a brunch, blah, 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 at her house. And we thought, we're cool. Well, shit went down that day. We went to school extra late. Cops were there at the house because shit was stolen.
Oh no.
And very expensive shit. Like
Mm.
over $30,000 of stuff was stolen.
Damn.
What was the biggest ticket item? Do you know?
Probably
Like, just-
jewelry.
Some like guitars,
Oh no.
a couple of, I think some signed football, signed guitars, like very rare
Collector items.
collector items, bunch of like some like iPods, like a Louis Vuitton bag, like it was a shit
See,
show.
why
Wow.
do people got to be like that?
I'm like, why'd you
everybody
gotta
be chill?
ruin a store
Yeah.
like a good thing?
Why can't people just be chill?
You're always
like-
gonna have one snake in the grass.
Yeah, it's
And
like
we ended up finding who it was. We got some of the stuff back, not everything. He went to a different school. Like we had no idea
Did he
who
get arrested?
he was. I think he did, but they let him off on something stupid. I don't know. It was dumb. Like he
Wow.
got
he
very
definitely got
lucky.
arrested again, probably.
Oh, I'm guaranteed
That-
it.
He's
that's
probably
my guess.
incarcerated as we speak.
Probably.
Well, and hopefully in jail they learn some lessons to,
No,
you know.
not many.
I don't know. But so yeah, I mean that was, so I was like, aside from the shit getting stolen part.
But it was an awesome
It
party.
was a great time.
You said
People
you-
were like,
you threw a
"Whoa, we have
banger.
wristbands?" I'm like 17 years old, and I'm like, "Yeah, we have to like this is happening." I'm like, "What time is it? Okay, time to switch up the playlist." Like I'm running around, like I'm drunk, but I'm like running around making sure other people are like, well, not enough apparently, but like having a good time, being like, "Oh, like, do you need another refill?" Like I just
You were hosting.
hosting. It was at my house, but I was hosting.
Okay.
We made good money that night. Not good enough to cover damages, but like good.
Or the stolen goods.
I made out. I made like $600. But
It's pretty good.
I mean, that's good for a 17-year-old.
yeah, and even some people even stole some alcohol and they didn't pay, but that was the whole other thing. But even afterwards, I was like, what could have we done differently? So then I just like was again, I always like to control things I can, and I always had fun and like with learning different things, and I just was like, there was like popular event planning TV shows back then that I was like addicted to, and I was like, maybe this is what I want to do. Like there was a handful of things that I thought I wanted to do.
Mhm.
They're all very weird. I want
So
to be,
what do you specialize in? Is there like
um
specialty for
so-
anyone that's listening? That's like,
yeah,
wow.
I don't like to put myself in a box. I'm very against like niching down, which is so funny
Okay, I like that.
because my industry is very like you have to pick a niche.
Or like wedding planning.
We can go into that. So I have a ton of experience in wedding planning. I can do that shit in my sleep. I loved it. It was what piqued my interest kind of in the beginning, but I always knew like I don't want to just be a wedding planner. I want to do other stuff. There's so many other cool opportunities out there. But business. So I launched in 2020.
Rough year.
Why did so many companies start
I
in
don't-
2020?
It's like the birth of the entrepreneur that year. It really is.
It
So many
was.
of my friends were like, "Fuck it." I don't know. I planned on starting my business end of 2019.
Mhm.
But my official launch was January of 2020. So there's that. But I'm so grateful for 2020. I loved 2020.
It was a needed challenge.
That's
We learned some things.
yeah.
Mhm.
It allowed me time to learn a lot of things on the back end that I wouldn't have if I was just thrown into it. I still did like a decent amount of events that year. They were
Yeah.
just very intimate or like small.
Had to do the masks and social distancing and
Yeah.
whatnot.
So stupid.
Terrible.
We won't go into
We
that.
We are not medical experts, and this is an opinion-based show.
That's correct.
Yeah. Next. But yeah, so that was an interesting time. But I still like did well for it being like my first year being in a pandemic. I actually networked my ass off. Like, so I was already working in the industry at this point when I launched my business. Let's see, it was 2020, so I graduated 2020 or 2018. I'd been in the industry since late 2012, 2013, or at least 2013-ish, something around there. So I
I
already
mean,
knew
ever since the house party, you were in the industry.
pretty much.
That's what kicked it off.
That
Actually-
house party, people still probably talk about that house party.
There's no way they don't. Me and my friend that threw it still talk about it. Her dad passed away a few years ago, but like we were like, man, I'm like, sorry, Richard. Like, but we had a great fucking great party at your house. Like, I'm sorry, but we still talk
Good
about it.
memories.
You're like saying that at the eulogy and stuff. You're like,
It's like, you know what? That's what you do in high school. You do dumb shit.
exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Like whatever,
Yeah.
I'm so glad it wasn't at my house. My parents would still be pissed, but whatever. So like, I was like, I'm good at this. But again, like I said, growing up doing it, my parents used to have big events. So they had a motorcycle shop. They have a motorcycle shop. So they used to throw big customer appreciation parties in the summer, big pig roasts.
Mm.
And they would
Nice.
roast a bunch of pigs. They would have live bands. They used to, at a few of them, they had like a live boxing ring. Like they had
That's pretty cool.
burnout competitions, like, and it was a good time. And I used to always help with that. And like, it was like on their little street where their business was. And my mom would cook all the food. My mom and I and my sister and my grandma
Mhm.
and like some
a
friends
lot of
would
food.
cook all the food. Like several years in a row, it was like 3,000 to 5,000 people.
Damn. That's a lot of food.
One party.
That's a lot of food.
And
yeah.
it was we had a lot of pigs. And it was we didn't charge people to be there
That's
either.
a lot of food.
That's
We
a lot
didn't
of
charge
hogs.
people to be there. One year we partnered with like a nonprofit for like kids with
Mhm.
like kids with cancer thing.
Oh, that's nice.
So like they just do different things. Like so growing up I was always around parties. And so like my parents would be like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, we're just throwing a party. Like we just know how to throw parties. So yeah, that's where it really stemmed from. But yeah, anyway. So was in the industry since like 2012, 2013 time. So I did know a lot of people luckily through all my random jobs throughout the industry. But I still was like, I need a network. Like having my own business is totally different, all the things, right? So 2020, like you're not in person. So what do? You go to social media, and I met majority of people I still have really good connections with were through social media. Like some of my best friends I met on social media in the industry. So I was just always like DMing people, following people, liking their stuff, like be like, hey, like
you got to be active.
Mhm.
It changes things. I mean that's what led to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was being active, and
So I
So
love
that's
social
interesting.
media for initial connection,
Yep.
Mhm.
but I think it like people get stuck in just social media, and we have to use that as a tool to connect, but then we need to be face to face to build
Yes.
relationships,
I
right?
agree
Well,
with that.
and courage to you for doing that, because you are the only person that's reached out with like the style that you reached out to us in.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like, hey, I'm trying to make some new connections,
Right.
because props 2025 is a new year. I'm trying to build some new momentum, understand some new stuff, so taking those risks, getting slightly uncomfortable, going to new places, meeting new people. It's one of those things where it's like I'm very comfortable in my house and like I don't need to leave.
Mhm.
And like, do I really want to go? But any time that I've went to an event or a networking event where I was like on the fence about it,
Turns out
it,
great.
it
I
ended up
literally
being
say
great.
this to myself all the
Mhm.
time. I'm like, I don't want to go, and then I'm like, but every time I say this, it ends up being good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So go.
it's true.
But yeah, so social media, I networked a lot, and that was great for business building, all the
Mm.
things. But all that to say, like, so most of my business in the beginning was weddings.
Mm.
Colorado is a top 3 destination for weddings,
Mm.
and so we do have
I can
a
see
lot of
that.
business here for it, which is great. I mean, I'm so thankful for all that. But it overtook my business. It
Yeah.
became majority very, very fast. And again, I was thankful for all the experience, all the connections, and of course, I need money.
Yeah.
So like it was great. And I'm a new business. Like I got to take what I can take. So it was great. So now we're going to year 5. I would say the first 3.5 years were mostly weddings, and then I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like I started to get burnout very fast because I was just saying yes to everything. I still like doing weddings. I'm not mad at them. I still enjoy them.
Yeah. Celebrating love.
Yeah. Like, I mean, well, there's stories there. But
Whoopsie.
there stories. I mean, a lot of times it's when people are their worst selves. Not
Oh, because they're all like, there's all this
there's
shit
too much
going on.
emotions
Yeah,
and
it's too
ties to
much.
the money and like
Yeah.
It's too
pleasing
much.
people, and there's too much pressure put on it. People are just like they're very entitled. Like it's
So
there's a lot of ugly
I
to
got
it.
I
eloped,
bet.
and then we threw a party at my mom's house.
Love
It
that.
was
I
awesome.
had 2 weddings, and my first one was 30 people because we couldn't have our original plan because it was in 2021, so which was a destination wedding, and so we're like, fuck 50 Miranda, Colorado, which was not what I wanted. But I was like, I'm not gonna wait either. So we had a small wedding, untraditional style here, and then a year later we eloped again in Italy.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And that's where we were supposed to get married. So I was like, I still want my husband's like, it's fine, we'll just have 2. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll probably have like, I know she wants to still do like a church wedding because she's Catholic, like
Mhm.
she's Latina,
Mhm.
and so like
I didn't know that.
I'll probably still do that
I didn't know
at
she was
one point.
Catholic. That's
Mhm.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Latina. I like grew up like in the church, but I didn't want a church wedding
Mhm.
just because my husband's not like super religious. So like, or he's not religious really at all. But so I'm like, I'm not gonna put you through that.
Yeah.
Through a
That's like
church
that's
wedding.
it's your wedding
So
too.
what is your like ideal event? Like if you could choose, and
Racing.
I know you're not
I love
a
car
racing
things.
event.
I love car
See,
things. But
you
I
did
love
that.
I have a lot of very again. So we'll go back to the niching down thing and how I'm like I don't want to niche because some people it makes sense, right? They're really good at it, they love it, and they're like, I don't know anything else. That's what I want to do. That's what they want. That's fine. That's not me. My interests are so random. Like cars. I mean, it's not random once you know me, but cars. I love fashion. One of the dream jobs I thought I would have would be in fashion. I thought I'd be a fashion designer, and then I was like, no. But I still could be in the industry
Mhm.
That's fair.
through events, which I have. I had a few fashion clients, which has been amazing, and I still am pursuing more experiences in that. I love working with brands and like corporate companies, like unique brands. I mean, literally, it could be for anything, like makeup, shoes, apparel, car stuff, like alcohol. Like I don't care. I just like working with other, like meeting new business people all the time is fun, and like helping like promote what they're doing and like, you know, bring their brands to life is super fun, like brand activations, things like that. Literally open to anything. Like at this point, my ideal event is not a wedding. I will still. I'm taking on. I'm like, okay, you have to say no to weddings to a
It's
certain
okay
point.
to say no.
So I'm only going to take on like 4 maximum a year. They have to be very, very aligned with what I like. They have to be not very traditional, have some type of interesting element, or the couple has to be like just people that are like I just really feel connected with, I guess. And their vision is something that excites me. Or destination. Oh, I'm down for destination weddings. Call me. I'll do that. Because I love travel.
Yeah.
So traveling's huge for me. I will do any type of event, not in Colorado, not in this country, preferably. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm working with a woman, like really popular women's social group, that hosts events all the time. Right now we're working on, excuse me, like hair in my mouth. We're working on a girls like trip to Aspen.
Okay.
So we're doing that, and then I'm also working with a really good chef friend of mine. He's doing a dinner series, so he's doing a monthly like luxury dining series. So I'm helping him plan those. Those are like that's what excites me. Like really like community based things, but they are very different from each other. They're still good
Well,
networking. Like
and it's always super fulfilling when you can get involved with something that you're doing it professionally, but it makes like this big impact,
yeah,
right? Like on
Yeah.
somebody's life or like what, like all probably every single thing that you jump into is making a big impact
hmm
on somebody's life. And you have something coming up.
I do. So we'll get into that now. So with the last year and a half ish or whatever of being like, what do I want for myself,
Mhm.
my brand, my company? Like, where am I going? Like, I know like what I don't want now. But, like, what's the plan? And it's obviously I'm wanting to reach out to people in completely different industries. I mean, because events are across all industries. Even if it's not big events, small gatherings, private things,
Mhm.
client dinners, whatever. So I'm like, how do I put myself in front of the right people? And this idea came about with just a couple entrepreneur friends of mine. We just were like, let's catch up and go get drinks and dinner together. And it wasn't even to talk business. It was just to hang out. And as you know, as entrepreneurs yourself, if you have entrepreneur friends, as soon as you get together, you're not talking business. Are you never not talking business? It's who you. I mean, it's part of who you are.
Wheels start turning.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, what are
Yeah.
you doing with your time if you don't have ideas?
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun to be creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm in a very creative field, industry, whatever. So, like, my 2 friends that I met up with, one's a videographer, one's a photographer. We just start talking, and the videographer, he does a lot of work with people in real estate and like other industries too. And I'm like, how did you like just picking his brain? Like I said, we weren't supposed to talk business when it came up, and I'm like, how did you like meet all these clients of yours? Like, what did you do? And he was like, I just started going to a bunch of random ass networking events. And then I was like, I like this is a thing where I'm like, I like to call myself an outlier. Like I have gone to a lot of industry specific events, networking events, things like that. I don't love them. They've never. A lot of them don't excite me. They're the same format every time. It's the same
Mm.
people every time. This is a whole other topic, but I've always felt like kind of the black sheep, the outlier of my industry, which I'm very okay with. Now at first I was like, and then I was like, well, actually I started to be in this industry because I wanted to be different. So that's a whole growth thing. But so
And own that.
yeah, so
You gotta
I
own
love
that.
it. Like it's
Mhm.
it's literally why I started. It's part of the reason why I started my own business. I never wanted to have my own business, and then I been in the industry for a while and saw what the industry was, and I was like, someone needs to change some things because this ain't it. So that's me, whatever. So then, of course, like when I go to networking events or whatever, things that are very industry specific for me, I feel out of place, which is not the worst feeling to have.
What's like an industry specific event?
So like if you want to throw it to weddings, like a wedding networking thing, or like a wedding,
Oh, okay.
like a wedding, like an exclusive wedding networking group, and they have like quarterly events or
Oh.
whatever.
It sounds like the same conversation
It's like a chamber of commerce meeting
every single time.
where like people just show up and here, use us for that.
That or like they continue like education, they like speakers, whatever like that. But again, like I don't want to just be in weddings, so it doesn't
Right.
really like it didn't feel right. And in Colorado, I will say the wedding industry is extremely white, which whatever, but like I don't have a problem. They have a problem. Does that make sense? I've always had, I didn't really experience racism until I became a business owner.
Interesting.
Well, I did a little bit when I worked for some other people, but especially as a business owner, especially in a predominantly white industry.
I can see that.
And I don't make a big deal out of it. Like it's never been anything super, super extreme. But enough for you're like, okay. Like that was clear, right?
There's no Latin culture involved in this. So when I had my courthouse wedding, I opted to having them speak in Espanol first.
I love that.
And then that was out of respect for her parents and her,
cool.
because she speaks English all the time in the household.
Of course.
And like, that's not her first language. So like, you know, if there's a whole subject there, I'm not going to get too deep into, but that's kind of interesting that like you didn't.
Like, I'm not looking to be like, oh, I just need to be around other Latinas or, you know, Native American people or whatever. I want to be around everybody.
Right.
I want a mix. Like that's what makes everyone great is our differences. But it's very, very white. And it's very like one note. It's very like there's these certain expectations.
So like what's the difference between like a white wedding and
wasn't there a song?
It's not even the white wedding. It's the industry. So it's not even like the way. It's not even like the wedding itself. It's just the industry. A lot of business owners are white. Which again, that's not an issue. It's just there's a lot of those owners that they make it an issue that you're not. If that makes sense. So they're like you're.
Because you're the like the minority as far as like the event coordinators and
it's getting more diversified now.
It's harder to like,
and they don't want to do business with you because of that.
Sometimes there's that, or they just like they don't even want to talk to you, or they like. And then another thing too, I noticed, which is again, it's getting better, but I was always the youngest person in my position before I had my business because I did have a lot of experience before graduating and whatever. Like, so I excelled very fast in the positions that I was in. So I was the youngest person in my position and brown, whatever. And people had a problem with it. I guess like I'm like, whatever. Like I would get the cold shoulder. I would get like little snide remarks. I would like not get put on projects because they're like, oh, she doesn't understand, whether it be age or race or whatever.
Yeah. And this is all based off of like predisposition.
Yeah.
I
had
like
some like pretty bad experiences for like when I worked at a company that I thought was like my dream company that I'd work for, and I was like, this is a fucking nightmare. And I had to like they were like I wasn't like getting work, and I was literally just sitting at a desk staring at nothing because I had no work. So I would go. It was like for this big production, like event production company, whatever. So I would go wander around the other departments and ask people if I could like watch them and like learn things and like help and like what, because I was like, I'm bored. I'm like, I'm talented. I know what I'm capable of, and you're not giving me the chance, and like I'm just wasting my fucking time. This also was part of the reason why I started my own business, but anyway, so there's just a lot of like networking events or like whatever, or like this mixer or whatever. And it's always, again, it's the same people, a lot of very stuck up people, I'm not gonna lie. And they like, I go out of my way to like try to get to know people. And they just, again, cold shoulder or whatever, or they're just like, yeah, or like just rude, just blatantly rude.
Yes, some people are just like that.
And yeah, I'm like, okay.
And like, I don't understand like how God made it so such a big stick could be up someone's ass. You know what I'm saying? Like,
be in the event industry, you'll meet a lot of them.
Like,
I can imagine.
How did God create room for that?
And then there's just a lot of people that are very like they're very, so the event industry, funny enough, it is a constant team effort. If you hate group projects growing up, don't be in the event industry.
That makes sense.
Because you have to work with new people every day.
Yeah.
Every project you're with new, even if it's like, oh, I know these people, but don't know these ones, or like the clients, whatever. You have to know how to adapt and be around so many different types of personalities. And people, and just like we may not like each other on a personal level, but you have to work together. Like it's just a whole thing. So there's a lot of cliques.
Yeah.
It's very cliquey. And a lot of times it's like, oh, it's just white people with each other. And then people are like, well, oh, Mexicans are only working with Mexicans, or black people are only working with black people. And I'm like, because you won't work with us. Like, so of course we're going to go to our community that we know. It makes sense. Like in each other, like, right. And again, like, I'm sure it's across many industries. The event industry is very, very, very much, that's a problem, especially I'm sure it's not as bad in like major cities, right? Like LA, Chicago, New
It
York.
probably is.
It
But
might be.
like there's
I don't know.
segregation even
Oh, of course.
in like the subdivisions
Right.
Yeah.
in Colorado. Like
I didn't realize that.
you have
Though.
predominantly like black areas, Latina, like white
But
areas. Like
Colorado's very.
it's
It is.
interesting.
I mean, Colorado's pretty much mostly white and Latin or Mexican mostly. But the industry itself is just it's always been pretty white here. And again, I don't give a shit, but they do.
Yeah.
So then it's hard to. There's been times, and I am the last person. Like, if you talk to anyone that knows me, I am the last person to be like pulling the race card. Like, there has to be another reason why they're acting like this, right? But then there's just times where you're like, there's literally no other reason, or they make it blatantly clear.
Well, and I think like, and this is a whole nother conversation, but like, I think some of this stuff is like subconscious as well. Like people don't realize that they're doing it. And if they, yeah, I'm sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure some are out there, but like, I think some of it is just like, comfortability with,
Well, I get that.
like what's around,
Yeah.
like what you grew up with.
Yeah.
And so,
That's fair. That's a point too.
but at the same time, we still have to give everybody space because just because I'm comfortable with something doesn't mean that that is always the right approach or that that's always the
Yeah.
right energy to have.
And even outside of race,
Mhm.
there's just a lot of cliques. And so like, oh, we have like everyone makes friends in their industry, right? And they're like, oh, of course you want to work with your friends, but I'm sorry, sometimes your friend is not the right fit for that client.
Mhm.
But they don't care. And so they're very cliquey and they're like, oh, well, we already work with a wedding or an event planner or a wedding planner. I'm like, with what? Because that doesn't make sense. Or a planner will do. Oh, I see this amongst a majority of planners. They just stick with what they know, and then they're just like, "Oh, well, I can." I'm like that. Like certain service providers are like for certain people, certain visions, certain budgets, certain locations. Like we have to mix it up constantly, or we should be mixing it up constantly because our clients. I mean, if you have diverse clients, I guess. For me, my clients are very diverse in all forms, like in
Mhm.
every sector. So, like, of course, I want to work with people that I've worked with a lot, but like they might not be the right fit. So I'm not going to recommend them because then both people are unhappy. My client's
Mhm.
unhappy. My service provider's unhappy. They're like, we don't mesh, and I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah. Then I've learned that. But again, so like the industry's like that. What in my experience, I guess I can only speak to my experience, but I've talked to a lot of my vendor friends have the same experience. And again, another thing too is because the wedding industry is so big here, when there is other events, like all event service providers are probably working in the wedding industry at some point or do a little bit here and there.
Mhm.
Even if they're like, oh, we're mainly corporate, they probably still get called for weddings too.
Mhm.
And I mean, you're not going to always say no, right? So it's all the same community. It is different, but it's the same, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So there's not like, oh, I mean, there are some things that are like, oh, we're the like corporate event networking group, whatever. Excuse me. But again, like then I'm having to go to multiple different things that are niche again in
Mhm.
multiple areas. And then it's just so much. And I'm just like, I never feel like totally like, oh, this is what I need, if that makes sense, because I am very not niche. So and the reason like when I reached out to you guys, I said I'm wanting to reach out to businesses in totally different industries to learn what you do.
Did you connect with any other podcasters?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not yet.
They really try.
Okay.
Yeah. But
You're like
You're the-
discussion Combustion.
You came to the right place.
so you guys like I was drawn to because your audience is very mixed
Yeah,
and your topics are so random
that's great.
and all over the place. I'm like, oh, this feels right. Like this is how I am. So all that to say, like I have interest in so many industries. So like I get inspiration from industries that would to a random person not make any sense for me to like be engaged in. Like why do you want to hang out with tattooers and barbers? Like what does that have to do with you?
Mhm.
I'm like, it could be everything that's
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, they have events.
Mhm.
Do they not? I'm like,
Or they should.
I'm like, well, they do. And I'm like, or they have connections to people who might need me or like whatever. Or it's good to know people and
It is.
everything.
It is.
And as an event planner, people come to me all the time. They're like, you just know people. Like, can you send me this recommendation, whatever? And so I usually I got a guy for everything, or girl, whatever. But like I have someone for everything, for like pretty much every random thing you can think of. So it makes sense for me to, and my parents are the same way. I think that's just what comes with being a business owner sometimes. But I love that. I love connecting people. I cannot be involved at all besides making the connection. That's so cool to me.
It's great.
I'm like, you needed this, and I'm the person you came to. I'm honored. Here's who you should use.
There you go.
It's fun. Like that's part of my job that I absolutely love. So anyway, I'm getting all the way back to my new thing that I'm doing. So this new style of events for me is masterminds. I don't know if you guys we talked about this. You guys haven't been to a mastermind before.
No, I thought it was a board game.
It is. It can be both.
I almost bought the game for tonight, but I forgot.
That's so funny. But so because I couldn't find networking or mastermind groups that I loved or I was fully excited about or like felt right, I was like talking to my friends at the dinner and I was like, what events do you go to? What events do you go to? And they're like, don't worry about the other events. So like, you need to just be the one that puts them on. I was like, oh no, that's not what I was asking you about. Like, I don't want to be the host. I'm not trying to do all that. Like, obviously I'm an event planner. I can do it. But I was like, I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want to have to. Like, no. And then as the discussion went on for that dinner, it was like, no, you're going to do it yourself. And I'm like,
as always.
I'm like, who said though? And they're like, we said. And so I was like, okay, like you're on to something, I guess. And so I was like, well, let me think about it. And this was back at the end of last year. So probably like, maybe it was like around November, December-ish, if I remember correctly. And I was like, ugh, whatever. Like, we'll think about it. And then before that conversation, like I said, I was trying to be like, oh, where can I find these other events, blah, blah. So I was like, maybe I should host my own thing or maybe whatever. I don't know. But then I just kept, no, I don't want to do that. And then that conversation happened and then I was like, well, shit, maybe I should, but what? And I didn't know. I was like, just a random networking event. I'm like, they're all structured the same. Like, I don't know. So I was considering like, what the fuck do I do? Time went on. I was in a mastermind myself. I went to like one in-person one. And then I did like an online one.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the online one. It had a lot of different people in it, but it was like just women, which is cool, whatever. But again, it's too niche for me. I like going to women only things here and there, but I don't want to just do that because it doesn't make sense for me. And so I'm like, where can I go that's not just a women's group, not just an event planning group? Like what? Like none of this makes sense for me. And so I was like, okay, I did kind of like the idea of the mastermind, whatever, but I don't necessarily like how most masterminds are run. Like the format's always the same. Again, I like to switch things up. I get bored. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can have like a mastermind networking group. And so I thought on that and then talked it over with more friends. Again, I mastermind with friends and was like, let's workshop, like, let's brain dump. Okay. And then they're like, oh, we should do this. Oh, like, here's your solution, like, whatever. And so I'm having my own little mini masterminds, which I do all the time with friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So that's launching. I mean, it's launched, but my first event launch party session is, what's today's date?
This will drop on the 13th of March.
Okay, it's on the 19th. So
that's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. I'm doing it. A lot of networking stuff is usually during the week. I'll probably mix it up. I'm gonna start with Wednesdays for now. It'll probably be random as time goes on. But yeah, it's on the 19th is a launch party first session. It's sold out.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I was like, okay, let's do around like 30, 40 people. We're at 70. And I was like, I got a cap. So 70 people. Pretty mixed group. I'm really excited. Half the people I don't know.
That's exciting.
I was like, so cool. But yeah, so it is going to be a group of what I like to say is outliers, creators, and innovators. A room like full of unlikely friends. Like that's what I want it to feel like. Like you would probably never cross paths with these people outside of this room because what other reason would you? So I like communities like that because, like I said earlier, I think like I like to draw my inspiration from so many different sources. And a lot of times when I'm brainstorming, masterminding, workshopping with friends in other industries, I like have a light bulb that goes off. They'll be like, oh, this is what I'm doing, like just venting to me about business. And I'm like, oh, well, here's my advice. And then I'll be like, oh shit, I should take my own advice. Or like just something will click where I'm like, oh shit. And then like leads an idea for myself. And then I'll be like, oh my God, like it just just blossoms and blooms and just goes crazy. And that happens in like every business conversation, of course, especially when it's like, of course, like I'll go to my friends being like, this is my problem, like help me, and they'll help me, right? But again, I find a lot of solutions when I'm helping other people.
Sure.
For myself that I like, it's in the back of my brain, and then it just comes forward, and I'm like, oh shit, like wait a minute, this makes so much sense. So I want to create a room for that to happen, for that to flourish and blossom. And again, like I of course learn from people in my industry, but I've learned way more from people not in my industry. So I think to force people to talk to people they would normally talk to, they're going to learn a whole lot, and they're probably going to teach a whole lot. And then obviously that just comes into natural networking. People are then you just meet a new person,
Right.
and then who's here and blah blah blah. So like currently the list has realtors, chefs, restaurant managers, tattoo artists,
It's gonna be a blast.
engineers, like
good mix.
photographers, like there's like slam poets, there's like painters, there's so many random people, and I
great.
think it's gonna be so cool for those people to just talk,
And you're at max
just get to know
capacity.
each other.
like intermix. So are you gonna like have the sticker, like in what they do?
No,
Like, hi, my name is.
okay.
I,
If you haven't learned this
Not
about me,
Alcoholics Anonymous.
if you haven't learned, you'll learn this really quick. That's one thing I absolutely hate at networking events is fucking name tags. I hate name tags. I hate them. You're there to meet people, right?
Yeah.
And learn who they are. You're not gonna walk up and be like, no, you don't know Bob. Like, talk to them. And be like, oh, what's your name? What do you do? Blah blah blah. Right?
That's true.
That's just what happens. I'm not gonna walk up to you and say your name like I know you. That's weird. And they're ugly. They're ugly.
They don't look good.
They look stupid. Half the time you can't read it. Like, they're pointless. I hate them. I'm sorry.
Name tags are out.
Name tags should always have been out.
I would always put like my name tag near my hip.
I put it on like my glass,
Okay.
Mhm.
so it's just like
So people don't really see it.
Wait, so you're saying if Kev and I, the DCPC boys,
We got to come to one of these.
wanted to come on the 19th, it's fully booked?
I
Well,
might give you guys a
we got to record that night.
We do have we record.
Oh, you
we
record.
Yeah, we
Because what
record it
time's the
with-
event? Like 5 to 7?
6
Six,
to
yeah.
9.
We'll be in recording.
Yeah,
But we got to get to this event or a event coming
You'll
up.
get to
Wait,
one.
do we have somebody booked on the 19th?
I don't know. We'll talk about that off mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
might make an exception. I've already made a few. Let me listen.
I mean
with
that'd
another
be
two.
fun.
Where is it?
So this is going to be in Lakewood. Actually, a good friend of mine. It's her and her business partner's co-working space called Creative Locale. It's off of like, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think it's around like 16th and Kipling.
Okay.
But she's a jeweler, and her studio's in that space. But she's my jeweler, and
Mhm.
she just moved to this space. Her and her business partners opened it. Whatever. It's a really cool co-working space. They just bought another building on the same property to expand, and so I also, with these groups, I want to host them in different venues every time if I can, or at least cycle through different ones, to help promote those businesses as well and get new people in the door. And which is why I was like, this is a perfect space. It's a co-working space, like it's big, whatever. They have a new building, so it's something we can show off. And so like this is obviously connecting the people that are coming, but I want to highlight businesses that we can host at, and just change it up every time. There's gonna be open networking portions, but then there is like more structured session portion.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of masterminds are pretty similar, where they usually have a speaker or like, and they'll be like, this is our topic for tonight. We're going to learn about marketing. Oh, boring. And you're like kind of like in a lecture style, like
Mhm.
in a classroom. Not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm back in school. Which they have their place, and that's more for like a workshop. If I'm like, okay, I need to learn certain things, like this is a cool marketing workshop, I'll go to that. But I don't want to go to a mastermind for that because I feel like it's too niche. Again, with the too niche, like it's like
Yeah.
we're talking about this one topic. We got to stick to this topic all night.
So you're on this like next the niche movement.
Some people it makes sense for me and the people that I connect with.
Wait, is it next? Is it like next? It means like no. Is it
Yeah.
next the niche?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
just
that would work.
I think they're, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, like we grow and evolve so rapidly
It's true.
that like I feel like a lot of times we feel like we have to stay in this certain like persona that we created.
Yeah.
And like, and again, for some businesses, yes, it works, it makes sense, whatever. But being a creative entrepreneur, that's not going to work for me. And then a lot of other creative entrepreneurs, that's not going to work for them. Or people that are maybe in like a very niche industry, but are not that type of person and they're the outlier of the industry, or they're the person like pushing new agendas, or like being more open-minded, they need a space too. So that's why I'm creating this. But yeah, so like our sessions are gonna have, we'll start with a topic here, and like we'll always start with a topic. And any speaker, whether it be myself or I bring in a guest speaker, I don't want it to be longer than like a 5-minute thing. And that can be a jumping off point. Whatever, you can stick to that if it relates. But if not, I want to create the space to have progressive discussions about other things, for people to vent, for people to ask questions, for people to be like, hey, you're an outsider, this is what I'm dealing with, what's your perspective, how would you approach this? I want those discussions to flourish, because I think we all need that. And again, like when you're a business owner, you tend to have business owner friends and you can have those discussions, but you need to branch out and talk to other people. Again, when you talk to people that are completely different from you in different scenarios, whatever, that's where you learn the most. Like, you don't grow from being in the familiar. So
absolutely not.
That's what I want to do with this, is just really promote growth for everybody, new connections, being open-minded. This is a place for, my golden rule is the golden rule: you treat people how you want to be treated. It's a place for mutual respect.
It's crucial.
We can be so different, but this is a place for mutual respect and connection and collaboration. And I'm gonna mix it up with, like, I will have these masterminds. I'm gonna try to do once a month. We'll see how that progresses. Again, I'm not gonna hold myself to just doing that
every 6 weeks.
It's so
you never know. It's a surprise. But like, it'll be like, sometimes it'll be these bigger groups, and it's not just one giant group talking. I hate that about masterminds too. It's usually just one giant group yelling at each other, or talking over each other or whatever. We're not doing that. And sometimes it'll just be like, hey, we're gonna do an intimate dinner. I'm capping it at 20 people. We're going to this really cool new restaurant. This cool new chef like wants to have new people in here. We're just gonna have a dinner and all just hang out and chat and just like chill and vibe and see what happens. Or some nights we'll be like, hey, we're gonna have this workshop, or we're gonna have this like cocktail hour with this workshop, or we're gonna go do some crazy activity together just to like let some steam off.
I just want to do putt-putt really bad.
I'm down with putt-putt.
I want to do putt-putt.
What about K1? Let's do some racing. Do some kart racing. I mean, that's got to be.
Sure, it's on the list.
Let's fucking go.
Just fun activities. Like again, the mastermind is, yes, it's the base, but I want it to branch off. My ultimate goal is to have, it's going to have like the mastermind groups, small special events or big special events, activations, and then I really want to lead this into retreats. Okay. I'm very interested in doing more planning for retreats, and so I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just plan my own. Which this has also been a conversation for the last like year and a half with a friend of mine. We were gonna do a retreat together, and then we were like, well, the type of group that we're wanting to attract, like, we kind of have it, but we don't necessarily have it yet. And then we've had some planning meetings, whatever, and then we kept putting on the back burner, and I'm like, God, we really have to get this going. But I'm like, but how? Whatever. And then this new mastermind group came to mind, and it's been progressing. I'm like, wait, duh, like this will funnel into that goal. Sure. Like that makes sense. And bring in my love for travel, and bringing people together. And I think one thing in life, I think that everyone can do for themselves that can only make your life better is to travel and experience new cultures and new places and new ideas and be exposed to new things. It does amazing for the soul, but also for your business.
It's true.
It makes you like see things so differently. So there's a lot of people that may think they can't attain that, or they don't want to do it by themselves, or they don't know how to do it or go about it, or like, I don't want to plan this myself, whatever. So I want to bring together these retreat groups and be like, I got the planning. You're down? Okay, cool. Like, I'll plan it all. Like, let's go. And we'll see where it starts, but overseas is my favorite. So Europe is my favorite areas to be in right now, but I'm open to anywhere. But yeah, the possibilities are endless, but I just really want to bring people together and promote all this growth.
You're doing a successful job.
Thank you.
I'm
terrified. Just so we all know.
That's good.
I'm not like, I mean, of course I want to be confident, and I am confident in my abilities, but I'm also like, I'm shitting bricks, guys. Like, I hate being the center. Like, this is so awful for me right now. Just so everyone.
You've been crushing it. We're at like an hour and a half.
I'm sure we are. Because I can run my mouth pretty well, but I like connecting people, and I like being like, conversational and networking on a personal level. Or like when I'm working, when I'm working an event, I have to be yelling at people all the time, or like bossing people around, and that's cool. But
Right.
like standing in front of people and being stared at while I speak, or having to have a speech, or like this, be where like the attention's on me, not my thing. So that's
I
like
wouldn't have
one
guessed.
reason why I was like, I don't want to do this group because then I have to be the center of attention, and that is not fun.
Oh, you're
for
gonna
me.
crush.
Well, maybe the universe is like pushing you and
I know.
pulling
This
you
is the-
into
this-
a certain,
It's the move.
It is.
That's the move.
you know, and there's like this level of success that we all experience when we do things that make us uncomfortable.
Absolutely. So I was listening. It was kind of a mastermind-y type. It's not really mastermind, whatever. I was like listening to or in this I don't know, like business coaching type style-esque, mastermind-esque like talk.
Mhm.
And the woman that was leading it said, this also helped me, like, assured me. This was the time where I was like, do I do it? Do I not? And then I listened in on this thing and I was like, fuck, it's a sign. But she was just like, you can't expect to grow, in the familiar. And
Mhm.
like, sometimes like your biggest areas of growth or like you won't succeed until you're absolutely doing something that you do not want to do because you don't want to do it, not because like you don't think you whatever, but just based off of sheer fear,
Mm.
and like letting fear stop you. And I'm like that, and I'm like, okay, why don't I want to do this? And it boiled down to I'm scared. I
Yeah.
like just like anyone is,
You have to admit that.
of course. Like I'm scared of being judged, of course. Like we all are, and I'm very much like I don't give a fuck person,
Mhm.
but of course I give a fuck when it comes to my business. There's still a lot in my business where I'm like I don't give a fuck, but there are certain things where I'm like I'm scared to like come off the wrong way or say the wrong thing or offend somebody or whatever, or someone's just like, oh, she's an event planner, her event sucks. Like that's my biggest fear. Like, oh my god, no, that's not happening. But
That's never happened.
I mean, I haven't hosted many events that like weren't like outside of like personal events.
Yeah,
Like hosting like
because
an event
we
for like
all we all
the
need
public.
that every once in a while. It's just like that
To be humble,
that
yeah.
humbling
Oh, absolutely.
learning
Little humble
experience.
I
pie.
don't think like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, I can't get any better. That doesn't make sense. Of course I can get better.
Well, that's good.
But like, yeah, I mean, I know that I'm very good at what I do, but it's a constant journey. Like you're never gonna be like, if you stop and you're like, I'm the best I am, I'm not gonna get better.
Yeah, you're not going to grow.
Then
You're on
then
complacent
you
bullshit.
actually you need to grow.
Yeah.
So I am very much like I know I have things to work on. I already know. But yeah, it's just fear of just again attention being on me, people staring at me, people judging, or people being like this sucked, or being like what is she doing this for, like whatever. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. I know it's dumb to think that way, but like it's still I'm like, oh
Everybody does it. We're all
Oh
guilty
yeah.
of it.
I mean,
And go ahead.
we got to full send it,
Mhm.
and that's what you're doing. You got to full send it.
yeah. I just had to be like, okay, fuck it. I
Yeah.
guess. Like and the other thing too, like I tell myself a lot is there's like two so cheesy quotes that I live by. Like my number one is like everything happens for a reason. Most things do happen for a reason in the
Mhm.
way they're supposed to. Like
Agree with
everything was designed for a purpose, and you're going through the journey that you're on is for your better good. Like it's whether you know it or not. Like I fully believe that.
I get behind you on that one.
that. The universe unfolds as it should.
Yeah, and then like for me, I am a religious spiritual person, so I'm like, yes, the universe like has plans for me. God has bigger plans than I can imagine. Like I just have to know that and just do what I feel is right in the
Mhm.
moment, and just like I can't. I truly don't. I really don't live with any regrets for.
That's good.
I mean, I'm sure there's some things I'm like, I'm gonna probably change that, but probably not, because then it would be
You would be a
the
different
butterfly
person.
effect.
Part of the
I would
journey,
be a
yeah.
totally different position. So I just accept whatever happens, and you just keep going.
Control
But
what you can control, which in your case, you like to do
I
a lot
do.
of that.
Yes, my husband, my family is very much like, Miranda, you can't control everything. I'm like, watch. I'm like, but I can.
Hold on, baby.
Go ahead and give that a try.
But let me
Yeah.
get in the ring. But and then another like quote, whatever, is just like, I just like you don't know if you don't try.
Mhm.
Like I'm scared of failing, but of course I'm gonna fail if I don't try, because then I'm never gonna have the opportunity to succeed. And that's again, that's like a duh like moment, but like there's so many like people that I look
Yeah.
up to that live by that, or like one of my favorite artists like says that all the time, and just like when it comes up from other people's mouths, it makes sense, So I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, if I have these crazy dreams, right, and I have these crazy goals, like how mad am I gonna be if I don't get there? Like I'm gonna be really upset, but like I won't know if I can get there if I don't actually put in the effort to get there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, the last like year and a half has been, I'd say actually really a year has been huge growth inside growth. I was like in a hard place in my business last year because I was transitioning of like, what am I doing? And like
Mhm.
this, and then business was down. Of course it was, because I didn't know what the fuck I was wanting to do. And like, I was learning myself again and learning like what my plan is, what my visions are. And so like, so much inner growth happened that I'm like, okay, it would be such a waste to have had all that growth and to like fall to my fears.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I guess you have one life. So if I want this crazy big life, I have to do
Gotta go all
crazy
in.
Gotta go
big
for it.
shit.
Go all in.
So I'm terrified, but like, fuck it, I guess.
That's
Fuck
the
it.
best place to be. And you've successfully created a new bridge with Denver's finest podcast,
The People's Podcast.
the People's
You're a
Podcast.
little biased, but I might agree with you at the moment.
Hey, there's only a couple out there, and respect to you if you've been doing it longer than DCPC
It's only a few.
out here. So
I mean, yeah, you guys have been doing it for a long time.
yeah, so
Over 6
we're
years.
we're super excited to have built this connection. And actually, we didn't build this connection. You built
Yeah,
this
you
connection.
kind of facilitated it all, and then sent us a massive like list of guest referrals.
I was like,
Probably the
okay,
biggest
I'm like,
we've
they're
ever
like, hey, like I'm sure on most
There was like
podcasts,
20.
they're like, send us people you think should be on. I'm like, you asked the wrong person for that.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
you're
our
gonna
IG
get
was
flooded.
blowing up.
Yeah.
I was like, I sent them all, and I was like, I should probably stop.
No,
Like,
it's good.
we'll stop for now. If you need a new batch, let me know.
We have so many in the works that are going to be coming up. We've had a couple screening calls with a few of them, and a couple of them are on the book. So we're looking forward to
I'm
that.
excited. I
It's
mean,
going to be a good spring.
again, I love that. I think for a long time, I'm like, why do I do what I do? What's my favorite part? People always ask those questions, right? And then I always have different answers. And I'm like, that was not genuine answer. I don't know. But I think, again, with this growth thing, like, the best part of my job is connecting people.
Yeah.
Mm.
It could have nothing to do with me, but I love like fostering connections that people benefit from, and then it's an honor for people to trust me to even ask,
For sure.
and then for them to be happy. They're like, oh my god, like I can't, like I'm so glad you connected us. Like that is like the best feeling in the world. Like I'm like, okay, it's like when you like if you cook, if you're a cook, like feeding people is like a love language.
It's a great
I
feeling.
love doing that too. It's like when people like your food, like it's a big deal. It's like the same thing to me.
That makes sense. That's a
So
good analogy.
So
love
for
it.
anyone that's trying to connect to you,
I was going to
Please do.
connect with you,
I was going to use that.
where can they go?
So my website, of course, is roseevents.com. Rose is spelled R-O-Z. And then my Instagram is roseevents.co. And then my email is on my website and my Instagram. But shoot me a DM, a text, an email, whatever. I'm open to all forms of communication. I'm always wanting to meet new people.
Well, it was a pleasure talking with you
It's a great chat.
in depth.
We didn't even get into guns. We're going to have to save that for round 2.
Oh, bring me back for guns.
We're going to have to
Face though. We can put me in the background. We can just like
you just be your voice.
We can do OG podcast style, where no one saw you. That's the best.
Just the audio
That
only.
was prime podcast.
Yeah, see, that was
I don't even like podcasts.
That's AM radio.
so 10 years ago. We're in the
that's
we're in the future of
prime
podcasting.
podcast time where you don't have to see me. But because again, I love people looking at me. But so I mean, always open to coming back.
Yeah, we'll get you on for sure.
chatting.
You're in the
Crushed
wheelhouse.
it.
Let me crash someone else's. And I'll just be like commentary in the back.
You can be like our Jamie from Joe Rogan. Hey, look that up real quick, would you?
Oh my god, can that be my job? That'd be great.
Who knows?
Well, it was awesome chatting with you.
It's a great
again.
show.
Um,
We'll leave all your
Yes.
links down below for the viewers, listeners. Scroll down, get in touch with Miranda. Fantastic. And we're going to get out of here. We're going to shut it down. We're on to Happy Friday tomorrow.
Sweet.
Yeah, we got a lot of shows to do. We'll talk about your event a little bit here off mic.
Yeah.
Great chat. My ass is numb, so that's how I know it was a good one.
Yeah.
I've been sitting too long.
Yeah.
So-
I didn't finish the whiskey, so we're still okay. But
Hey,
Oh, look at that. What a
hey,
pro.
there you go.
I'm sure Art finished his over there.
Art chugged.
And on that
Art
bombshell,
said this.
Hey, there's hair on the chest for a reason. Thanks for tuning in to Discussion Combustion. Please be good to yourself.
you deserve